Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Today we've got a brand new story to share with you. So let's begin. The moment I discovered my wife's betrayal with a boy barely out of high school. I never imagined Natalie could stoop so low. Maybe I was too wrapped up in my 12-hour shifts at the warehouse to notice the cracks forming in our life together. We weren't anything special, just your average couple trying to make ends meet in our rented 2-bedroom apartment. I'm Ethan, 42, breaking my back moving boxes while my wife Natalie, 37, works as a nail technician at the local salon. Sure, we argued about money like everyone else, but I thought we were happy. Well, as happy as you can be when you're barely scraping by each month. Natalie used to be fine with drugstore makeup and $20 haircuts. That was the woman I married, practical, grounded, and fully aware of the value of a dollar. Then everything changed. Maybe it was those high-end clients at her salon, with their Botoxed faces and designer bags. Suddenly, the woman I knew was talking about fillers and skin treatments like they were necessities. "Baby, I need to maintain appearances for work," she would say, fluttering the fake eyelashes she had begun to wear. The clients expected it. I'd cave in, pick up extra shifts, and skip lunch breaks. Anything to see her smile. Funny how love makes you stupid sometimes. The first red flag? Those late-night salon appointments she claimed to have. Since when did beauty salons stay open past 9 p.m.? However, naively, I accepted her words. Even when our joint account began to lose money more quickly than usual, I remained silent. The second warning sign was her phone, always face down, always with her, always locked with a new password every few weeks. If I'd known then that my 37-year-old wife was sneaking around with some teenager barely old enough to buy cigarettes, maybe I wouldn't have worked those extra shifts to pay for her precious beauty treatments. But that's getting ahead of the story. Allow me to recount the disintegration of my world, one meticulously crafted nail at a time. It started with a broken AC unit at her salon. July was brutal that year, and Natalie's boss decided to let the staff take walk-in clients at the community center where they had decent air conditioning. That's where she met him. Just another pump kid with too many tattoos and a gym membership he probably paid for with his mom's credit card. I remember Natalie mentioning him casually over dinner one night. "This sweet kid helped me set up my station today," she said, pushing her rice around her plate. Funny how these teenagers know so much about social media marketing. I nodded, half listening, my mind already on tomorrow's inventory count. What I didn't know was that my wife had already given this sweet kid her number, for marketing advice she'd later claim. Right. Because a 19-year-old who works part-time at GNC knows all about running a nail business. The text messages started innocently enough. Natalie would leave her phone unlocked sometimes and I'd catch glimpses. "Your nails would look fire with chrome powder," or "Thanks for the protein shake recommendation." Nothing that would set off alarm bells. But then she started password protecting everything. Even her damn Instagram account. The changes were subtle at first. Natalie started wearing makeup to the gym. Since when did she even go to the gym? "Just trying to stay healthy, babe," she'd say, packing her gym bag at 7 p.m. when she used to be in her pajamas watching reality TV. She'd come back 2 hours later, smelling of perfume instead of sweat. Then came the request. "Ethan, honey, I need to get some work done." That's how she phrased it. Not Botox, not fillers, work. Like her face was some kind of construction site. I nearly choked when I saw the prices. $300 for lips, $400 for forehead, $200 for some kind of vitamin drip. That's 2 weeks of my salary right there. "Everyone at the salon is doing it," she'd insist. "I'm losing clients because I look tired all the time." I was tempted to argue that her fatigue was solely a result of her late-night activities, but I refrained. Picked up Sunday shifts instead. One day I came home early from work and threw my back out lifting a crate. There was Natalie in our parking lot, leaning against some beat-up Honda Civic. She was laughing, head thrown back, hand on some kid's arm. He looked like every other Gen Z wannabe influencer. Ripped jeans, sleeve tattoos, and one of those stupid cross earrings. She saw me and jumped like she'd been shocked. "Ethan. This is Josh, he's been helping me with my salon's social media." The young man gave me a nod, attempting to project an air of maturity, yet his demeanor was reminiscent of a puppy posing as a guard dog. I noticed his hand was on my wife's waist before he quickly pulled it away. I should have said something then. I should have asked why this social media consultation was happening in our parking lot at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. I should have asked why my wife's lipstick was smudged or why her gym clothes looked more like something you'd wear to a club. Instead, I shook the kid's hand. His grip was too firm, like he had something to prove. "Thanks for helping my wife," I said, playing the clueless husband role perfectly. Natalie's face was a mix of relief and something else. Guilt? Excitement? I couldn't tell anymore. That night she was extra affectionate. She made my favorite dinner, frozen pizza with extra cheese, and wore that old t-shirt of mine she knows I love. But her phone kept buzzing. She'd check it when she thought I wasn't looking and smile that secret smile I'd never seen before. "Your social media guy sure texts a lot after hours," I commented, trying to keep my voice casual. She didn't even flinch. "Oh, he's got great ideas for growing my client base. Did you know we could make extra money if I start doing nail art tutorials online?" She launched into this whole spiel about followers and engagement rates. Since when did my wife, who still couldn't figure out how to use our smart TV, become an expert in digital marketing? The final straw? I found a receipt in her gym bag while looking for quarters for laundry. It wasn't for protein shakes or workout gear. It was for a motel. The kind that rents by the hour just off the highway. The date? Last Tuesday. When she was supposedly at a nail art workshop. I held that piece of paper in my hands, this sad little proof of my world cracking apart, and felt something between a laugh and a scream build up in my throat. My wife's inability to resist playing Mrs. Robinson with a child who likely still had Pokemon cards stashed in his bedroom shattered our 3 years of marriage and 8 years together. But here's the real kick in the teeth: I still didn't confront her. Not yet. Maybe I was a coward, or maybe I just needed to be absolutely sure before I blew up my life. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I started playing detective in my own marriage. And let me tell you, what I found out next made that motel receipt look like a love note. I never thought I'd become the kind of guy who snoops through his wife's things, but there I was, rifling through Natalie's dresser while she was at work. The Natalie I married would have been appalled. This new Natalie? She'd probably laugh it off and make me feel like the crazy one for even doubting her. What I found made my stomach turn. Hidden under a pile of gym socks was a burner phone. Seriously, a freaking burner phone, like we were in some cheap crime drama. I turned it on, half expecting it to explode in my hands or something. No password. Amateur move, Natalie. The text made me wish it had exploded. Hundreds of messages between her and Jay, not even trying to be subtle. Pictures I can never unsee. Plans for meetups. Complaints about me. He's always tired. He doesn't get me anymore. Every utterance pierced my heart. But it got worse. There were messages to other guys too. Not just Josh. There was a Mike, her gym trainer, apparently. A Chris from her salon. Even a Lily. Yeah, you read that right. My wife was living some wild double life, and I was the last to know. I sat on her bed, the same bed where she'd been lying to my face for months, and tried to make sense of it all. That's when I noticed the credit card statements peeking out from her nightstand. Curiosity or masochism made me look. Holy shit. The beauty treatments were only the beginning. Hotel charges. Expensive restaurants. Lingerie stores. And get this, a charge for a couple's retreat on a weekend. She told me she was visiting her sick aunt. I didn't even know her aunt was sick. Turns out she wasn't. Big surprise. I was so deep in my shock that I almost didn't hear the front door open. Natalie's voice floated up the stairs, sickly sweet. "Honey, I'm home early. I've got a surprise for you." Panic set in. I shoved everything back where I found it, probably not as neatly as it had been. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure she'd hear it. I managed to make it to the bathroom just as her footsteps hit the top stair. "Ethan?" she called out. I flushed the toilet for show and stepped out, trying to look normal. Whatever that meant anymore. "Hey babe," I croaked. "You're home early?" Natalie shone at me, and for a brief moment, I recognized the woman with whom I had fallen in love. Then I blinked, and she was back to this stranger wearing my wife's face. "I have amazing news." She practically jumped up and down. "Remember that big beauty influencer I told you about? She wants to collaborate with me. Isn't that incredible?" I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. She didn't seem to notice. She continued, her voice taking on the wheedling tone I'd come to dread. "I need to upgrade my equipment. You know, for the videos? It's a big investment, but think of the payoff." I knew what was coming. More money. Always more money. I wanted to scream, to confront her with everything I'd discovered. Instead, I heard myself say, "How much?" Her eyes lit up. "Just 2,000. I know it sounds like a lot, but..." "Okay," I interrupted. Her eyebrows shot up in surprise. "I never agreed that easily." "I'll transfer it to your account tomorrow." Natalie squeezed and threw her arms around me. I hugged her back, feeling like I was embracing a stranger. Over her shoulder, I caught a reflection in the hallway mirror. We looked like a normal, happy couple. What a joke. "Oh, and one more thing," she said, pulling back. "I need to go to this beauty convention next weekend." In Vegas. It's a huge networking opportunity. Vegas. Right. I wondered which of her friends would be joining her. Sure, I said, my voice hollow. Whatever you need. She kissed me on the cheek and bounced off to call her work friends with the good news. I stood there, feeling like the happiest person in the world. That night, as Natalie slept soundly beside me, I lay awake, my mind racing. I thought about confronting her, but what would that achieve? She'd probably twist it around and make me the bad guy for invading her privacy. No, I needed hard evidence. Something she couldn't talk her way out of. So I made a plan. A crazy, probably stupid plan. But I was done being the clueless husband. If Natalie wanted to play games, fine. I could play too. The next day, I called in sick to work for the first time in years. As soon as Natalie left for her salon shift, which I now doubted was even real, I got to work. I installed hidden cameras in our bedroom and living room. I felt like a creep doing it, but hey, desperate times and all that. Then I did something even crazier. I texted Josh from Natalie's burner phone, pretending to be her. Hey babe, hubby's gone all day. Come over? The response was almost immediate. Be there in 20. I left the house, parked my car around the block and waited. Sure enough, 20 minutes later, I watched that same beat-up Honda Civic pull into our driveway. Josh, looking like he'd just rolled out of bed, practically skipped to our front door. He had a key. My key. I gave them an hour. The longest, most agonizing hour of my life. Then I called Natalie's regular phone. No answer. Called again. Still nothing. Perfect. Taking a deep breath, I drove back home and walked up to my own front door. I could hear muffled laughter from inside. My hand shook as I put my key in the lock. I pushed the door open, stepped inside and cleared my throat loudly. Honey, I'm home. The sudden silence was deafening. Then chaos. I heard scrambling, curses, and the thud of something or someone hitting the floor. Natalie appeared at the top of the stairs, wrapped in a bedsheet, her face a mask of shock and fear. Ethan. I can explain. Behind her, I caught a glimpse of Josh trying to pull his pants on and nearly falling over in the process. I just stood there eerily calm. Oh, please do explain, Natalie. I can't wait to hear this one. I stood there at the bottom of our stairs, watching Natalie clutch that bedsheet while Josh fumbled with his pants. The silence was thick enough to choke on. Ethan, please, I can explain, Natalie started. Save it? I held up my hand. Just, save it? I turned to Josh. You out. Now. The kid practically tripped over himself getting to the door. As he passed me, I grabbed his arm. How old are you really? He swallowed hard. 17. Natalie's gasp echoed through the room. What? You said you were 19. I let out a bitter laugh. Fantastic. Just fantastic. I released him and he bolted. Natalie sank down on the stairs, still wrapped in our good sheets, the ones her mother gave us for Christmas. I didn't know Ethan. I swear, I didn't know he was underage. Like that makes it better. I pulled out my phone and showed her the burner phone photos I'd found. Want to explain these? Or maybe the credit card statements? Her face crumpled. I was going to tell you something important today. More lies? She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I'm pregnant? The world tilted sideways. What? 8 weeks. She wiped her eyes, smearing makeup everywhere. I found out last week. I've been trying to figure out how to tell you because... She trailed off. Because what, Natalie? Because I don't know if it's yours. The truth struck me with a forceful impact. I had to sit down right there on our IKEA coffee table that we'd assembled together last year while laughing and drinking cheap wine. There's more, she whispered. Of course there was. There's always more. Remember when I said I was doing extra appointments at the salon? She took a shaky breath. I've been working at that new gentleman's club off Highway 9. The tips, they were so good, Ethan. Better than a month at the salon. Everything clicked. The late nights. The revealing outfits I thought were for spicing up our love life. The cash she'd sometimes bring home, claiming they were tips from rich clients. The beauty treatments. Real. I needed to look good for the club. Compete with the younger girls. She laughed bitterly. I guess I succeeded, huh? Got myself a teenager. I stood up, meaning to move, to think. So let me get this straight. You're stripping, sleeping around, lying to my face, and now you're pregnant with what might be a 17-year-old's baby? She flinched at each word. I never meant for any of this to happen. It just spiraled. The attention, the excitement, the money, it was addictive. And what about us? What about our life together? Our life? Now she was getting angry. You mean our cramped apartment? Living paycheck to paycheck? You sleep through every weekend because you're exhausted from work? That life? At least it was honest, I shouted. At least it was real. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Natalie stood up, still clutching that damn sheet. I need to get dressed. Then we can talk about what happens next. What happens next? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. What happens next is you pack your bags and get out. Go live your exciting life. Just not here. Not with me. Dash. And Natalie? I turned to face her. Get a paternity test. Because if that baby is mine, we're going to have a whole different conversation. But right now, I can't even look at you. She nodded slowly, tears falling again. As she climbed the stairs, I heard her whisper, I'm sorry. I wanted to believe her. Part of me still loved her enough to want to believe her. But standing there in our small living room, surrounded by pictures of happier times, I knew we could never go back. Some betrayals are too profound to heal. I pulled out my phone and called my sister. I'd need a place to stay tonight. As it rang, I looked at our wedding photo on the wall. Natalie in her second-hand dress, me in my rented tux, both of us grinning like we had the whole world figured out. Funny how life has a way of proving you wrong. 3 months after that night, I sat in my sister Ava's guest room, staring at divorce papers. My signature was already there, stark and final. Natalie's would be added tomorrow at the lawyer's office. 18 years of friendship, 8 years of dating, and 3 years of marriage, all ending in a few strokes of a pen. The paternity test results lay next to the papers. I didn't need to look at them again, the words were burned into my brain. 99.9% probability of paternity. The baby was mine. Sometimes, the universe exhibits a peculiar sense of humor. My phone buzzed, another text from Natalie. Please talk to me. We can work this out. For the baby. I ignored it just like I'd ignored the last 50 messages. The only communication we had since that night was through our lawyers. Well, my lawyer and her mother, since Natalie couldn't afford one. Karma's funny like that, all those tips she earned and she still ended up broke. Ava knocked on the door bringing me a beer. Thought you might need this, she said, sitting on the bed next to me. Saw Natalie at the grocery store today. Yeah? I tried to sound disinterested. She's showing now. Looks about 5 months along. Ava paused, clearly debating whether to continue. She's back working at the salon. The regular one, not, you know. I took a long pull from the beer. Good for her. She asked about you, Ava added cautiously. Ava? I know. But she's carrying your daughter. I stood up, pacing the small room. You think I don't know that? You think I don't lie awake every night thinking about how my kid is going to grow up in this mess? The doorbell rang, interrupting my rant. Ava went to answer it, coming back with a pale face. It's Josh's parents? My stomach dropped. In all the chaos, I'd almost forgotten about the statutory rape angle. Natalie had been lucky. Josh's parents decided not to press charges after finding out about the pregnancy and confirming it wasn't his. They were decent people caught in this disaster just like me. I went downstairs to find them sitting awkwardly on Ava's couch. Mrs. Carter twisted her hands in her lap. We wanted to apologize again, Ethan. We had no idea Josh was. It's not your fault, I cut in. He lied to everyone. Mr. Carter cleared his throat. We're moving. Taking Josh to live with his grandparents in Ohio. Get him away from all this. I nodded. Smart move? This town was too small for all this drama. After they left, I checked my email. Another message from Natalie's mom. She's having a girl. Thought you should know. A daughter. I was going to have a daughter. The next day, I walked into the lawyer's office ready to end my marriage. Natalie was already there, her baby bump visible under a loose dress. She looked different, no more fancy makeup or styled hair. Just Natalie like she used to be. Ethan, she whispered. I sat as far from her as the conference table allowed. Our lawyers went through the terms. I'd keep the apartment and my car. She'd keep her car and whatever she'd taken when she left. We'd split the debt. And then there was the matter of the baby. My client is willing to grant full custody to the mother, my lawyer stated, with reasonable visitation rights for the father. Natalie's head snapped up. What? No. Ethan, please, we can co-parent. We can? Miss Turner, her mother's lawyer interrupted gently, given the circumstances. I watched Natalie crumble, tears staining the papers in front of her. For a split second, I saw the girl I once loved at 19, the woman I married at 34. Then reality hit. The burner phone, the lies, the 17-year-old kid, and my heart hardened all over again. She signed the papers with trembling hands, still wearing her wedding ring. As we stepped out of the office, she grabbed my arm. I know you hate me, she whispered. But please don't hate her. She didn't choose any of this. I glanced down at her stomach where my daughter was growing. I don't hate you, Natalie. I just don't recognize you anymore. She let go of my arm, nodding slowly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Not just for getting caught, but for everything. I destroyed something beautiful because I was selfish and stupid. Yeah, I said, stepping into the elevator. You did? As the doors closed between us, I saw her place a hand on her belly, and for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I let myself cry. That night, I sat in my empty apartment, looking at the ultrasound picture Natalie's lawyer had given me. A little girl. My little girl. In 4 months, I'd be a father, co-parenting with a woman I could barely look at. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. A video. I opened it, my heart sinking. It was security footage from the lawyer's office parking lot. Natalie getting into a car. A Honda Civic I knew all too well. Some lessons, it seems, don't hit hard enough the first time. I deleted the video without a second thought, grabbed a drink and started hunting for new places far away. Sometimes the only choice is to walk away, no matter how much it shatters what's left of you. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you next time.